In 1983, my mom locked me in the car with the windows up while she grocery shopped for 2 hours.
There are two children in a car by themselves, small kids crying. The windows are cracked. They're locked in the car.
In Arizona, in July. Today, she'd be doing 3 to 5 years, but that's not even close to the worst thing on this list.
It's okay, baby. It's okay. Oh, you're hot.
The temperature inside reached a sweltering 117 degrees.
Every single parent watching this committed at least 20 of these crimes, and we thought it was normal.
Father was arrested and charged with second-degree cruelty to children.
Let's start with something every single person over 35 remembers: the complete absence of seatbelt enforcement. And I'm not talking about forgetting once or twice. I'm talking about systematic, deliberate ignoring of basic physics. Your mom would slam on the brakes, throw her arm across your chest like she was some kind of human airbag, and call it safety. We called it the mom arm seatbelt, and somehow we thought that untrained reflex from a 120-pound woman was going to stop our bodies from becoming projectiles at 65 miles per hour. The station wagon was peak criminal negligence. You know that rear-facing seat in the way back? The one where you'd make faces at the cars behind you? That was literally the crumple zone. In any rear-end collision, you were the airbag. Your parents essentially said, "Hey kids, go sit in the impact crater." But the real crime was the kid pile. 6 kids, 5 seatbelts? No problem. Just share, like seatbelts were Halloween candy. Tommy, you and Jessica can split that lap belt. What could go wrong? Current penalty for this? In most states, it's $500 per unsecured child, points on your license, and potential child endangerment charges if someone gets hurt. Multiple offenses? That's a CPS investigation. Your parents did this every single day, twice on Sundays when they picked up the neighbor kids for church. The crazy part? We loved it, fighting over who got to sleep on the floor during long trips, making beds in the back of vans with no seats at all. We were basically cargo, human cargo with no restraints, flying down the interstate at 80 miles per hour. This one hits different when you realize the actual statistics. On a 75-degree day, the inside of a car reaches 100 degrees in 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Your mom's quick trip into Kmart was never 10 minutes. It was 45 minimum, and that's if she didn't run into Sharon from church. Crack the window. That was the magic phrase that somehow made it okay. Like that half-inch gap was going to create some sort of air conditioning vortex. Keep the doors locked and don't talk to strangers. Cool, Mom. I'll just sit here in this solar oven and slowly dehydrate while you comparison shop for tube socks. The worst part? We were given responsibilities. Watch your little sister. I'm 8 years old, dying of heat stroke, and now I'm also a babysitter in a locked metal box in July? That's not child care. That's attempted murder with a delegation clause. And God forbid you honked the horn because you were literally dying. That wasn't a cry for help. That was a declaration of war. Your mom would storm out of that store like you'd committed high treason. I said 5 minutes. Lady, I've watched the sun move across the sky. I've seen seasons change. 5 minutes was 2 hours ago. Current legal reality. Leaving a child under 12 alone in a vehicle is illegal in 19 states, with penalties ranging from fines to felony charges. In California, it's automatic child endangerment if the conditions could cause harm. Your parents did this every single grocery trip, sometimes with infants. But here's the kicker. We had survival strategies. We knew which windows to crack for cross-ventilation. We knew to move to the shady side when the sun shifted. We were basically teaching ourselves thermal dynamics to avoid death. 8-year-old mechanical engineers trying not to die while Mom grabbed just one thing from Sears. Let me paint you a picture of child car safety in 1985. Your car seat journey went like this. Infant carrier, until you could hold your head up, then a death trap they called a toddler seat until about age 2, then absolutely nothing, just raw dogging it on the vinyl bench seat. The booster seat was a phone book, the yellow pages, if you were lucky, That extra thickness meant you could almost see out the window. And this wasn't poor families making do. This was standard operating procedure. Your dad would grab that phone book, maybe wrap it in a towel if he was feeling fancy, and boom, you're ready for a cross-country road trip. Some kids got the cushion from the kitchen chair treatment, just a loose cushion, sliding around, no attachment to anything. You'd slide off it during turns, launching yourself across the back seat like a pinball. The cushion would go one way, you'd go the other, and everyone just accepted this as normal. Today's reality check. Kids need to be in booster seats until they're 4'9", tall or between 8 and 12 years old, depending on your state. That's 12. We were driving by 12. Your average 1980s 6-year-old was sitting on nothing, held in by nothing, protected by nothing except their mother's misguided belief that they'll be fine. The real insanity was the infant carriers. These things were basically plastic buckets with a lap belt. No base, no latch system, no side impact protection. Just a molded plastic shell that would become a projectile in any serious accident. The safety tests from that era are nightmare fuel. Dummies flying, carriers exploding, and somehow our parents were like, "Looks safe to me." But wait, it gets worse. Remember those old-school wooden high chairs that converted to car seats? Yeah, wooden car seats. In a collision, you weren't protected by the seat. You were getting impaled by it. Splinters were the least of your concerns when your safety device was made from the same material as the thing that could kill you, sending kids to buy cigarettes and alcohol. Tell them it's for your mother. That was it. That was the entire plan. Send a 9-year-old to buy controlled substances with nothing but a handwritten note and $2 in change. The note might as well have said, "Please commit a federal crime for me." Thanks, Mom. We knew every brand by heart. Marlboro Lights 100s in a box, Virginia Slims Menthol, Pall Mall Reds. We could rattle off cigarette brands like state capitals. This wasn't occasional. This was our job. Little 9-year-old drug mules running tobacco for our parents who couldn't be bothered to get off the couch. Letting kids ride in truck beds. This wasn't just legal, this was the preferred method of child transport in summer. It's nice out. Kids ride in the back, like fresh air somehow negated physics. We're doing 70 on the interstate, standing up, arms spread wide, basically daring death to take us. The false sense of security was insane. Hold on to something. Hold on to what? The truck bed walls that are specifically designed to fold down? The wheel well that's explicitly not a handle? We were gripping smooth metal with sweaty hands while our parents took corners like they were qualifying for NASCAR. And it wasn't just country roads. This was highways, interstates. Your dad merging into traffic while you and 6 friends played human Jenga in the back, trying not to die. The only safety equipment was a tailgate that may or may not have been properly latched. Rainy weather made it a water park death trap. That truck bed would fill with water, you're sliding around like hockey pucks, and your parents would just drive faster to get home quicker. You're hydroplaning in the front, we're literally swimming in the back, and everyone's acting like this is normal Tuesday behavior. Current penalties? Most states now ban this entirely on highways. It's reckless endangerment, child endangerment, and about 6 moving violations. 1 accident and it's vehicular manslaughter charges. Your parents did this every weekend all summer long. Church youth group trips, little league practice, grocery runs. If the weather was nice, kids went in the back like livestock. The group trips were attempted mass murder. 15 kids in 1 truck bed. Dad's friend following with another 15 kids in his truck bed. A convoy of potential child death. And the parents would wave at each other at stoplights like they were doing something wholesome. Walking to school alone at age 5. Kindergarten, 5 years old. Walking a mile to school. Crossing major intersections, no cell phone, no tracking device, just a prayer and a house key on yarn around your neck. Today, that's criminal neglect in half the country. The safety preparation was insulting. Look both ways, that's it. That's all the training you got before being released into the urban wild at age 5. No practice runs, no gradual building of independence. Just don't talk to strangers, and out the door you went. The house key on yarn was basically a "rob my house" sign. Every criminal in a 5-mile radius knew exactly which houses had unsupervised children who'd be alone for hours after school. We wore our vulnerability like a necklace. A bright, colorful yarn necklace that screamed, "No adults present." Weather didn't matter. Snowstorm? Bundle up. Torrential rain? Take an umbrella. We were mailmen with homework. Neither snow nor rain nor heat nor gloom of night stayed us from our appointed walk to elementary school, except we were 5. The crossing guards were the only adults who knew we existed between home and school, and half of them were drunk. Mrs. Patterson at 3rd and Main definitely had vodka in that thermos. She'd wave that stop sign like she was conducting an orchestra, slurring, "Be safe, babies," as we dodged actual traffic. But here's the real crime: the after-school walk home. School ended at 3:15. Parents got home at 6. That's nearly 3 hours of unsupervised time for a 5-year-old who just learned to tie their shoes. The instructions were, "Do your homework and don't burn the house down." That's a low bar, Mom. Playground equipment designed by Satan. Let's talk about those playgrounds. Not the plastic, safety-regulated, cushioned surface playgrounds of today. I'm talking about the metal monstrosities that were designed by someone who clearly hated children. The slides were metal. In summer, in direct sunlight, you could literally cook an egg on them. We didn't slide down. We got branded. That sizzling sound when your skin hit the surface, that was your thigh meat cooking. 2nd-degree burns were part of the playground experience. Your parents' response? "Go down faster next time." The merry-go-round wasn't recreation. It was centrifuge training for NASA. Kids would spin it as fast as humanly possible, launching smaller children into orbit. We'd grip those metal bars with everything we had while experiencing G-forces that would make astronauts puke. Someone always flew off, someone always bled. The playground supervisor just blew the whistle for the next group. The swings were hung with actual chains, not coated chains, raw metal chains that would pinch your fingers off if you gripped wrong. The seats were solid wood or metal, perfect for knocking teeth out when some kid walked behind at the wrong time. "Don't walk behind the swings" was our version of "don't feed the bears." Ignored constantly, consequences immediate. But the jungle gym, oh God, the jungle gym, 20 feet high, no safety net, concrete beneath. It was basically scaffolding for children. The safe ones had pea gravel underneath, which sounds protective until you realize pea gravel is just thousands of tiny rocks to embed in your skull when you fall. Modern playgrounds have a maximum fall height of 8 feet with required impact-absorbing surfaces. Our playgrounds were 20-foot metal towers over concrete. Every parent who let their kid play on these things was essentially signing a waiver that said, "I'm okay if my child dies today." The seesaw was a catapult. Your friend would jump off at the bottom, sending you crashing down from the apex. Tailbone injuries were so common we had a name for it. Seesaw ass. Parents' solution? Walk it off, drinking from the garden hose. You're thirsty? Drink from the hose. That hose had been baking in the sun for 8 hours. The first blast of water was literally boiling, but we'd let it run, wait for it to cool, and then drink that garden hose water like it was mountain spring nectar. What we were actually drinking was a toxic cocktail that would make Flint, Michigan's water, look like Evian. Those hoses were made with lead. The fittings were brass with lead. The water sat in lead-contaminated rubber all day, leaching chemicals. We were basically sucking on a lead pipe. Every summer day, multiple times a day, giving ourselves mild lead poisoning. Your parents didn't just allow this, they encouraged it. Don't come inside for water. Use the hose. That metallic taste we all remember? That wasn't minerals. That was neurotoxins. We thought it tasted weird but refreshing. It was literally brain damage with a garden hose delivery system. Current EPA standards would shut down a city if tap water had the lid levels we were casually chugging from those hoses. BPA? Phthalates? Those hoses were made with everything that's now banned. The rubber was treated with chemicals that are classified as carcinogens. We were drinking cancer water, and our parents' only concern was that we didn't track mud inside. The black rubber hoses were the worst. They'd heat up to about 140 degrees, cooking those chemicals into a concentrated poison tea. First, you'd burn your mouth on the boiling water. Then you'd poison yourself with the chemicals. A two-step process to child endangerment, but we loved it. That hose water hit different on a summer day. We'd share it with friends, creating a communal poisoning experience. "Hey, Tommy, try our hose. It tastes better than yours." We were basically sommeliers of contaminated water. No bike helmets, ever. Bike helmets were for professionals and sissies. That was it. Those were the two categories. If you weren't getting paid to ride a bike, you didn't need a helmet. Your skull was apparently made of titanium, according to 1980s parent logic. We did jumps. Not bunny hops, jumps. We'd build ramps out of plywood and cinder blocks, achieve actual airtime, and land on concrete. No helmet, no pads, no supervision, just pure, unfiltered, traumatic brain injury potential. Your parents would watch from the window, proud that you were being active. The bike tricks we attempted would make current X Games athletes demand hazard pay. Standing on the seat while riding, ghost riding down hills, playing chicken with actual cars, and all of this with zero protective equipment. Your skull was the protective equipment. When you inevitably crashed and got concussed, the diagnosis method was whether you could remember your name. That was the entire concussion protocol. "What's your name?" "Good, you're fine. Get back on the bike." No CT scan, no observation period, just back on the death machine. Current reality. Many states have helmet laws for kids under 16. Parents can be fined, and repeated violations can trigger neglect investigations. Your parents watched you attempt Evel Knievel stunts in the driveway, and their only comment was, "Don't be late for dinner." The racing was attempted murder. We'd race down the steepest hills in the neighborhood, no helmets, usually no working brakes. The goal was to not die. That was literally the only goal, survival. Winners were determined by who didn't need stitches. And let's talk about those bikes themselves. No safety standards. Chains that would eat your shoelaces and flip you over the handlebars. Pedals made of bear trap metal that would shred your shins. Banana seats that would split and impale you. The bikes themselves were trying to kill us, and we rode them helmet-free into battle, spanking with weapons. Go pick your switch. If you know, you know. And if you know, you also know that making a child select the instrument of their own assault is psychological warfare that's now classified as child abuse in most states. The wooden spoon wasn't for cooking. It hung on the wall like a medieval weapon, a constant threat. "Don't make me get the spoon." Every mom had one. Some had a dedicated punishment spoon with a name. Karen's mom called hers the attitude adjuster. That's assault with a deadly weapon with a cute nickname. Belts weren't fashion accessories. They were compliance tools. Your dad would snap that belt like Indiana Jones as a warning. The sound alone was supposed to correct behavior. That's terroristic threatening. The actual use? Aggravated assault. Current penalty? 2 to 5 years, loss of custody, and a lifetime on a registry. The creativity in the weapons was sociopathic. Hairbrushes, flip-flops, the deadly chancla for Latino families, ping-pong paddles, rulers. If it existed in a house, it was potentially a beating instrument. Your parents were basically MacGyver but for child abuse. Schools were in on it too. The principal's paddle often had holes drilled in it for aerodynamics. They literally engineered these things for maximum pain. It hung on the wall in the office like a trophy. You'd sit outside, hearing the whacks, waiting your turn. That's not discipline. That's a war crime. And the witnesses, other kids would be lined up to watch. Public corporal punishment as a deterrent. We were living in medieval times with better snacks. Teachers would compare notes on technique. I find the wrist snap really drives the message home. They were trading assault tips like recipes. Leaving kids home alone all day. Latchkey kid was a cute term for abandoned child. We had keys around our necks like dog tags, identifying us as the unsupervised. From age 7 or 8, we were coming home to empty houses and fending for ourselves until parents returned hours later. The instructions were insane. Don't answer the door. Don't answer the phone unless it rings twice, stops, then rings again. Don't use the stove. There's PB&J stuff. Don't have friends over. Do your homework. Don't die. That was the extent of the preparation for leaving a child alone for 4 to 5 hours. Don't use the stove. There's PB&J stuff. Don't have friends over. Do your homework. Don't die. That was the extent of the preparation for leaving a child alone for 4 to 5 hours. Current law says children under 12 to 14, depending on state, cannot be left alone for extended periods. Your parents committed this crime every single weekday for your entire childhood. That's approximately 900 counts of child abandonment per school year. We were cooking full meals by age 9 because PB&J stuff got old. Using the stove we were explicitly told not to use, teaching ourselves cooking from the back of boxes. I learned fractions from doubling Kraft mac and cheese recipes. That's not independence. That's survival education through negligence. The emergency plan was non-existent. Call 911 if something bad happens. What constitutes bad? House fire? Obviously. But what about the door-to-door salesman who won't leave? The power going out? The weird noise in the basement? We were making executive decisions about danger at age 8. And when summer hit, those few hours became all day. 8, 10, 12 hours alone. There's lunch meat in the fridge. Don't leave the house. We were prisoners with sandwich privileges. Child development experts would call this severe neglect. Our parents called it teaching responsibility, letting kids play with fireworks, not sparklers, not those little snakes. I'm talking M80s, cherry bombs, Roman candles, and bottle rockets. Explosives. Actual explosives handed to children whose brains weren't even fully formed enough to understand consequence. Be careful was the entire safety briefing before handing an 8-year-old a Roman candle. Be careful with what? The literally exploding balls of fire shooting from a cardboard tube I'm holding in my hand? The sparks landing on my polyester clothing that could melt to my skin? Which part should I be careful with? M80s were quarter sticks of dynamite. We were blowing up mailboxes, trash cans, and ant hills with military-grade explosives. Your dad would light it, hand it to you, and say, "Throw it quick." That's distribution of explosives to a minor, reckless endangerment and probably a federal crime if you actually did blow up that mailbox. Bottle rocket wars. We'd shoot them at each other intentionally. This wasn't an accident. This was the game. Eye protection? That's for wimps. We're aiming lit projectiles at other children's faces and calling it summer fun. The injuries were inevitable and ignored. It's just a little burn from an explosive. That's not a boo-boo, Mom. That's a combat injury. We had third-degree burns that were treated with butter and a Band-Aid. Current protocol would involve an ER visit, a CPS investigation, and possible criminal charges. 4th of July was the purge for child safety laws. Every parent became an arms dealer, every child became a tiny pyromaniac, and somehow this was patriotic. No supervision at public pools. Be back by dinner was the entire supervision plan for a day at the public pool. Dropped off at 10 a.m., picked up at 5 p.m. 7 hours of unsupervised water activity. The lifeguards were teenagers who were more interested in tanning than guarding lives. We couldn't swim. Half of us couldn't swim. But we'd lie about it to get past the deep end test. Yeah, I can swim. Then spend the day clutching the wall in the deep end, basically drowning in slow motion while the lifeguard flirted with somebody's older sister. The buddy system was a joke. Your buddy was just another unsupervised child who also couldn't swim. Two non-swimmers pretending to watch each other not drown. It was the blind leading the blind, except underwater where the stakes were death. No sunscreen, ever. We'd be at the pool for 7 hours in direct sunlight with zero sun protection, coming home looking like lobsters, unable to sleep from the pain, and your mom would put some aloe on it like that fixed the skin cancer risk you just marinated in all day. The pool chemicals were basically acid. Your eyes would be bloodshot for days, skin would peel off, hair would turn green. Prescription meds, just laying around every bathroom medicine cabinet, was an unlocked pharmacy. No child-proof caps, no locked boxes, just a smorgasbord of pills that looked exactly like candy. Don't touch those was the entire safety protocol. That's like leaving a loaded gun on the table and saying, "Don't shoot yourself." Grandma's house was the worst. Pills everywhere. On the kitchen counter, in her purse, by her chair, on her nightstand. Heart medication, pain pills, blood pressure medicine, all just scattered around like decoration. One curious toddler away from a fatal overdose. The pills in unmarked containers were Russian roulette. Old Tic-Tac containers full of back pills. Baby food jars with headache medicine. No labels, no dosage information. No idea what you were looking at. Mom would just grab 2 of something and tell you to swallow. Could be Tylenol, could be Valium, who knows? Current reality, leaving prescription medication accessible to children is criminal endangerment. One incident can trigger a CPS investigation. Your parents had narcotic painkillers in unlocked drawers that you could access easier than the good scissors. The medicine tastes bad myth was a lie. Children's medicine tasted like candy, because that's the only way kids would take it. But that Flintstone vitamin bottle next to Dad's heart medication looked identical to a 5-year-old. We were one wrong bottle away from tragedy every single day. The sharing of prescription meds was attempted murder. Toys made of lead and toxins. Every toy was trying to kill us. Lead paint wasn't a defect, it was a feature. The brighter the toy, the more lead it probably had. We were sucking on poison, and parents were buying more because the colors were so vibrant. Fisher-Price literally had to recall millions of toys for lead paint. Toys we all had. Toys we chewed on as babies. Toys that are now considered hazardous waste. Your parents didn't check for recalls. The internet didn't exist. We just played with poison until someone noticed kids were getting dumber. The chemistry sets were meth labs for children. Real chemicals, real reactions, real burns. Educational, they called it. You know what we were educating ourselves on? How to create toxic fumes in the basement. The instructions might as well have said, "Congratulations on your junior chemist badge and probable lung damage. Lawn darts." Lawn darts, weighted spikes that you threw in the air and hoped didn't impale anyone. These weren't recalled until 1988, after sending 6,000 people to the emergency room. Your parents bought these voluntarily. "Here, kids, play with these medieval weapons in the backyard. Try not to die." The Easy Bake Oven could reach 350 degrees. The creepy crawlers thing used actual hot metal plates. Wood-burning kits gave children tools to burn things. Every craft was basically, how much heat and danger can we expose children to while calling it educational, letting kids swim in dangerous water. The creek was not a swimming destination. It was runoff water full of agricultural chemicals, broken glass, and probably dead animals upstream. But every summer, that's where we swam. No supervision, no safety equipment, just kids versus bacteria soup. Lakes with no swimming signs were suggestions. Those signs were there because of sewage overflow, dangerous currents, or chemical contamination. Your parents' response? Just don't swallow the water. Like we had any control over that while drowning in industrial runoff. The ocean without lifeguards was attempted murder. Riptides, jellyfish, sharks, and your parents are sitting on the beach reading a book. Don't go too far out. How far is too far when you're 8 and can barely swim in a pool? The ocean doesn't have a shallow end, Karen. Quarries. We swam in abandoned quarries. Flooded holes in the ground with no known depth, hidden machinery, and water so murky you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. Kids died in these regularly. Local news would report it. Your parents' response? Be careful at the quarry today. The river was just moving death. There is no calm spot in a river, Dad. It's all moving. That's what makes it a river and not a lake. Random adults disciplining your kids. Any adult could discipline any child. Physical discipline. The mailman could smack you for being rude. The grocery store clerk could grab your arm hard enough to leave bruises. The neighbor could spank you and then send you home for your parents to spank you again for embarrassing them. It takes a village apparently meant everyone gets to hit your kid. This wasn't oversight. This was outsourced assault. Your parents gave blanket permission for any adult to physically discipline you. If Mrs. Johnson has to spank you, you'll get it twice as bad when you get home. Teachers had paddles. Coaches had worse. That football coach who made you run until you puked? Today, that's criminal abuse. Then it was building character. Making children vomit from exhaustion is torture under the Geneva Convention, but apparently fine for Pop Warner football. The random stranger corrections were insane. Some adult you'd never seen before could grab you, shake you, and scream in your face for being too loud in public. Your parents would apologize to them. I'm so sorry they bothered you. Your kid just got assaulted by a stranger and you're apologizing to the assailant? Store owners kept sticks behind counters specifically for hitting kids' hands who touched things, not metaphorical sticks. Actual wooden rulers and yardsticks for child hand smacking. That's aggravated assault with a weapon. Your parents would watch it happen and say, "You deserved that for touching." The bus driver could pull over, drag you off the bus, and leave you on the side of the road, miles from home. No cell phone, just abandoned you for being too rowdy. That's child endangerment, kidnapping, the initial grabbing, and abandonment. Your parents' response? Guess you learned to behave on the bus. No background checks on anyone. Your parents would hand you over to literally any adult who volunteered to watch children. No background check, no references, no questions asked. He seems nice was the entire vetting process for the man who was about to be alone with 20 kids for hours. Little league coaches, random dads who volunteered, scout leaders. Whoever showed up, tutors, that college kid from down the street who needed money. Your parents were basically running a predator job fair, and you were the merchandise. Uncle Bob, who wasn't related to anyone but hung around all the neighborhood kids. Red Flag City. But your parents let him take you to the movies, to the park, on camping trips. No supervision, no questions, just have fun with Uncle Bob. That's not parenting. That's child trafficking with extra steps. The sleepovers at houses you'd never been to with parents you'd never met. Your mom would drop you off at a stranger's house because their kid was in your class. No meeting the parents, no tour of the house, no emergency contact exchange, just pick you up tomorrow, and off she went. Birthday party drops were abandonment with cake, some random address. You don't know the kid that well, parents you've never seen, and your mom just drives away. Could be a trap house, could be a cult, but there's cake, so apparently it's fine. The neighborhood watch was just random adults self-appointing themselves to monitor children. No official capacity, no training, no oversight. Just Gary from 3 houses down who keeps an eye on things. Drinking and driving with kids. Roadies weren't just accepted, they were dad culture. Your father would crack open a beer for the drive home, not after getting home, for the drive. Open container, intoxicated driving. Child endangerment, the trifecta of vehicular crimes. The beer between the legs while driving was iconic. Dad's got one hand on the wheel, one hand on a Coors, and you're in the back seat with no seatbelt. He's literally drinking and driving you to soccer practice. That's attempted vehicular manslaughter with a minor witness. I drive better with a couple beers was an actual thing adults said, out loud, to children, as if alcohol was a driving enhancement drug. Your mom would nod along like this made sense. He's more relaxed. Yeah, his reaction times are also more relaxed, fatally relaxed. Family parties meant drunk driving convoys. Everyone wasted. Kids distributed among cars based on space, not safety. Caravan of intoxicated adults driving children home. It was Russian roulette with car keys. Who's least drunk was the designated driver selection process. The you steer, I'll work the pedals game when Dad was too drunk. 8-year-old you steering from his lap while he operates the gas and brake. That's not teaching you to drive. That's making you an accomplice to a DUI. You were literally the designated driver before you could see over the dashboard. Holiday travel was peak crime. Christmas Eve, Dad's had 8 eggnogs. Mom's on wine number, who knows? And we're driving 2 hours to Grandma's in a snowstorm. Medical neglect is toughening up. That bone sticking out of your arm? It's just a sprain. Put some ice on it. The concussion from falling off the roof? You're fine. You're talking. The 104-degree fever? Sweat it out. Your parents weren't building character. They were practicing medicine without a license. We don't go to the doctor for every little thing. Every little thing included broken bones, head trauma, and infections that turned your leg green. The threshold for medical attention was basically, can you see organs? No? Then walk it off. Dental care was for emergencies only, and emergencies meant visible bone or uncontrollable bleeding. Cavities were ignored until they became abscesses. Baby teeth were pulled at home with pliers. Your dad's dental tools were fishing line and a door. That's not dentistry, that's torture. The home remedies were attempted murder. Butter on burns, traps the heat. Hydrogen peroxide on everything kills healthy tissue. That pink medicine that expired in 1978 but still works fine. Your parents were playing doctor with your life, and their medical degree came from other parents who also didn't know anything. You don't need stitches while blood is literally spurting from your head. Superglue and butterfly bandages for wounds that needed surgical intervention. That scar you have? That's not a cool story. That's evidence of medical neglect. No child-proofing anything. Every house was a baby final destination set. Cleaning supplies under the sink with no locks. Rat poison next to cereal boxes. Medications on counters. Guns in unlocked closets. Sharp objects at toddler eye level. It wasn't baby-proofing, it was baby Darwinism. The coffee table corners were weapons. Sharp glass edges at exactly running toddler forehead height. Every house had at least one story of a kid who needed stitches from the coffee table. It was a rite of passage. Everyone gets coffee tabled eventually. Electrical outlets were baby magnets with no covers. Don't stick things in there was the entire electrical safety plan. Meanwhile, every toddler's first instinct is to stick things in holes. Your parents were relying on verbal warnings for humans who couldn't even speak yet. Stairs had no gates, just raw, unprotected stairs that babies could tumble down at any moment. The solution? Watch the baby. But nobody was watching the baby. The baby was free-ranging through a house of horrors while Mom smoked Virginia Slims and watched Donahue. The kitchen was attempted murder headquarters. Knives in drawers kids could reach. Pot handles facing outward on the stove. Deep fryers full of oil just sitting there. Glass everything at perfect grabbing height. Your parents ran a baby Thunderdome and called it home. Physical discipline from school. The principal's paddle wasn't a myth. It was a decorated weapon of child abuse. Some had names. The Board of Education, attitude adjuster, The persuader, they'd have them custom-made with holes for less wind resistance. That's not discipline. That's engineering assault weapons for children. You'd sit outside the office hearing other kids getting paddled, the psychological torture of waiting your turn, hearing the cracks, the crying. Then they'd make you thank them afterward. Thank you for correcting my behavior, sir. That's Stockholm Syndrome with a hall pass. Teachers could grab you, shake you, throw things at you. Erasers were missiles. Chalk was ammunition. That teacher who threw the stapler at a kid's head, still employed. Babies in death trap cribs. Every crib was trying to kill your baby. Drop-side cribs that actually dropped, with the baby in them. Slats spaced perfectly for head trapping. Paint that was definitely lead-based. These weren't cribs, they were baby disposal units. The crib bedding was a suffocation sampler platter. Puffy bumpers, suffocation. Thick blankets, suffocation. Stuffed animals, suffocation. Pillows, suffocation. Your parents basically built a suffocation museum and put a baby in it. Current safe sleep guidelines would classify this as attempted infanticide. Back sleeping is for weak babies. Your parents put you face down in a crib full of suffocation hazards and considered it building character. SIDS wasn't mysterious back then. We were actively causing it and calling it unexplained. The crib toys were strangulation devices. Mobiles with strings that could wrap around necks. Toys with small parts perfect for choking. Everything attached with cords and ribbons. Your crib looked festive, but was actually a baby gallows with extra steps. Hand-me-down cribs were the worst. 3 generations old, recalled twice. Missing parts, held together with duct tape and prayers. The crib placement was insane, next to windows with blinds, under shelves, near heaters. Your parents played dangerous crib placement roulette, and somehow we survived. Letting kids use power tools. Shop class in middle school was a limb lottery. 7th graders using table saws. 7th graders. Kids who couldn't be trusted with scissors were operating machinery that could cut them in half. The teacher missing 3 fingers was somehow not a deterrent, but a qualification. Your dad's weekend warrior projects included child labor with power tools. Hold this while I cut. You're 8 years old, holding wood while your drunk dad operates a circular saw. No safety glasses, no gloves, no OSHA compliance, just hoping nobody loses a finger before lunch. The lawnmower was a toe-deleting machine that kids operated weekly. Push mowers with exposed blades, no safety features, just don't put your foot under there. We were one slip away from amputation every Saturday morning. Nail guns, staple guns, soldering irons, all handed to children like toys. Be careful, it's hot, while handing a 900-degree metal stick to someone who still believes in Santa. The chainsaw. Your dad would let you help with tree cutting. You'd hold branches while he chainsawed near your hands. The safety equipment was stand back a little. Texas Chainsaw Massacre was apparently an instruction manual for weekend chores. Even the safe tools were weapons, hammers with no supervision, saws with no guards, drill bits that could go through bone. Your parents ran a child-maiming workshop and called it Learning Life Skills. No supervision at dangerous places. Go play meant disappear for 6 hours and don't die. Where didn't matter. Construction sites, abandoned buildings, train tracks, wooded areas with actual predators, human and animal. Your parents' only requirement was be home by dark. Construction sites were our playgrounds, active construction sites, with working equipment, open pits, exposed rebar, and no security. We'd play in half-built houses, climb scaffolding, jump in foundation holes. Your parents knew and didn't care. Don't get tetanus, was the safety briefing. The woods were child disposal areas, not parks with trails, actual wilderness. Getting lost was expected. Poison ivy was character building. That creek with the sharp rocks and broken glass? Perfect play area. Take your brother, like a 6-year-old bodyguard made it safer. Railroad tracks were highways for unsupervised children, walking on them, putting pennies on them, playing chicken with actual trains. Your parents' warning, don't get hit by a train. Thanks for the pro tip, Mom. Really helpful. Abandoned buildings were death traps we voluntarily entered. Asbestos, broken glass, unstable floors, possible squatters, definite rats. But that's where we played hide and seek. Your parents' response? Don't go in the basement. The basement was the least of the problems. Storm drains and sewers were explorable. We'd crawl through drainage pipes during storms, the water rising, the current getting stronger, and we're underground in a concrete tube. Your parents didn't know or didn't care. Kids will be kids, apparently included potential drowning in sewage. Food that was basically poison. Every meal was a chemical experiment. Red dye 40 in everything. High fructose corn syrup was a food group. Trans fats were healthy because they were vegetable oils. Your parents were slowly poisoning you and calling it lunch. The school lunches were government-sanctioned toxic waste. That rectangular pizza with rubber cheese, mystery meat with gravy that formed a skin, vegetables boiled until they were gray, chocolate milk with enough sugar to put you in a coma. This passed for nutrition. Kool-Aid was fruit juice. Tang was orange juice. Sunny D was basically orange-flavored petroleum. Your parents thought anything with fruit in the name was healthy. It says fruit punch. It's punching your liver, Linda. The cereals were diabetes training courses. Frosted Flakes, Lucky Charms, Cookie Crisp. We were eating dessert for breakfast. The healthy option was Honey Nut Cheerios. Still 9 grams of sugar per serving. Processed meats were in everything. Bologna, hot dogs, Spam, lips and assholes formed into food. The nitrates alone should have killed us. But your mom packed that bologna sandwich every day like she wasn't giving you colon cancer in a lunchbox. Coke for breakfast was normal. Mountain Dew as a sports drink. Your parents bought cases of soda like they were stocking a diabetes ward. Water was for pools, not drinking. The stranger. Danger paradox. Don't talk to strangers, but also be polite to adults. These contradictory instructions created a generation of kids who were simultaneously paranoid and completely vulnerable. Your parents' mixed messages were basically grooming assists. Hitchhiking to school when you missed the bus. Getting in cars with anyone headed your direction. They seemed nice was good enough for your parents. That's not a safety protocol. That's human trafficking with parental approval. The ice cream man was a stranger in a van luring children with candy, and parents paid him to do it. Everything we were warned about, but with music and popsicles, so apparently it's fine. Door-to-door salesmen were invited inside, strangers, in your house. Alone with you while Mom made coffee. The Fuller brush man, the encyclopedia salesman, the vacuum cleaner guy. Your parents' stranger danger rules apparently had a commerce exception. Ask a policeman if you're lost. How do you verify someone's actually a policeman when you're 6? Badge, can be faked. Uniform? Halloween store. Your parents' safety plan required government employee verification skills from a first grader. The milkman, mailman, meter reader, all strangers with access to your property and you. Your parents' response? They work for the company. Ted Bundy had jobs too, Mom. Employment isn't a character reference. Cars as babysitters. The car wasn't just transportation. It was a mobile babysitting unit. Your parents would leave you in running cars while they ran in real quick for 45 minutes. Engine running. Keys in ignition, child in charge. That's not child care. That's abandonment with air conditioning. Sleep in the car on long trips meant actually sleeping overnight in the car at rest stops, not in a campground, rest stops, where murders happen. Your family of 5 crammed in a sedan at a highway rest stop at 2 a.m., doors unlocked because it's too hot. That's not camping. That's serving yourself to predators on a sedan platter. The car as punishment was solitary confinement for minors. Go sit in the car and think about what you did. In the mall parking lot, alone, for an hour, in summer. That's not time out. That's a hostage situation. Sending kids to start the car in winter, alone, in the dark, at 6 a.m. The car could be stolen with you in it. Carbon monoxide poisoning in the garage. Accidentally putting it in gear. But sure, send the 8-year-old to warm up the death machine. The babysitter Russian roulette. 13-year-old babysitters watching infants. 13. They can't drive, vote, or see R-rated movies, but sure, let them keep your baby alive. That's not childcare. That's children watching children while you went to dinner. The neighborhood girl who needs money became a caregiver with zero vetting. No references, no experience, no CPR training. Just, she seems responsible for her age. Her age is 12, Karen. 12-year-olds aren't responsible for anything. Leaving multiple children with one teenage sitter. Watch all 5 kids. Here's $10. We'll be back at midnight. That's not babysitting. That's overwhelming a minor with an impossible task. The babysitter's boyfriend who'd come over. A stranger. A teenage stranger. In your house. With your children. Your parents didn't know and didn't ask. How was everything? Fine. Investigation complete. The drunk babysitter phenomenon. Your parents would come home to obviously intoxicated teenagers and still pay them, still hire them again. She's fun. Yeah, she's also wasted and your kids could have died. But sure, book her for next Saturday. The watching each other solution. The older one can watch the younger ones. The older one is 8. That's not babysitting. That's abandonment with a child witness. An 8-year-old can't be responsible for a baby. They still believe in the tooth fairy, the complete absence of safety awareness. But here's the ultimate crime. The thing that would absolutely get every parent from our generation arrested today. The complete, total, absolute absence of any safety awareness whatsoever. It wasn't just one thing. It wasn't occasional lapses. It was systematic, comprehensive, all-encompassing negligence. Your parents didn't forget car seats. They never considered them necessary. They didn't overlook supervision. They believed kids should figure it out. They didn't accidentally leave medications out. They never thought kids would take them. The lack of helmets, seatbelts, and basic safety equipment wasn't poverty. It was philosophy. Kids are tougher than that. No, kids are exactly as fragile as physics makes them. Every parent from our generation would be in prison today, not jail. Prison. The accumulated charges would be 10,000 plus counts of child endangerment, 5,000 plus counts of neglect, 1,000 plus counts of reckless endangerment, 500 plus counts of contributing to delinquency, countless OSHA violations, multiple chemical exposure, violations, systematic medical neglect. And the craziest part? They all did it, every single parent. This wasn't bad parenting by outliers. This was standard operating procedure. The entire generation collectively decided that child safety was optional. The 70s, 80s, and 90s were basically the Hunger Games for children, and our parents were the capital citizens watching it happen. The wrap-up, the survivors, making sense of the senseless. So here we are, the survivors. The generation that shouldn't exist. We drank from lead pipes, flew through windshields, ate poison, breathed asbestos, and somehow made it to adulthood. We're walking miracles or statistical anomalies, depending on how you look at it. But here's what really gets me. Our parents weren't evil. They weren't trying to kill us. They genuinely believed this was fine. The same parents who wouldn't let us watch PG-13 movies were letting us play with explosives. The mom who made you wear a coat, or you'll catch cold, also let you ride in the trunk of the car for fun. They were worried about stranger danger while literally leaving us with strangers constantly. And now? Now they're the ones sharing articles about kids these days are too coddled. Really? Really? You left me in a hot car for 3 hours with a juice box and called it childcare, but sure, tell me how car seats are making kids soft. The child safety laws we have now? They're written in our blood. Every regulation, every safety standard, every overprotective rule exists because kids like us died. We were the crash test dummies for an entire generation of safety improvements. The shocking truth finale. The real crime. But here's the most insane part, the thing that would blow your kids' minds if you told them. We loved it. We loved the danger, the freedom, the insanity of it all. We loved drinking from that lead-contaminated garden hose on a summer day. We loved flying down that metal slide that gave us third-degree burns. We loved the absolute chaos of unsupervised childhood where every day could be your last. And that's the real crime. Not just that our parents did all this, but that they made us love it. They programmed us to think danger was fun, that safety was for wimps, that survival was a personality trait. We defend it now. We turned out fine. Did we? Did we? We have anxiety disorders, chronic pain from untreated injuries, probably some lead-poisoning brain damage, and we think energy drinks are a food group. We're not fine. We're survivors with Stockholm Syndrome for our childhood. Your kids will never know the terror of being forgotten at the mall, the panic of being lost in the woods until dark, the very real possibility that today's bike ride could end in death. And that's good. That's called progress. We were feral children raised by distracted adults in a world that was actively trying to kill us. And somehow, against all odds, despite our parents' best efforts to accidentally eliminate us, we survived. We're the generation that lived through the complete absence of child safety standards. We're the reason those standards exist. We're walking, talking, traumatized proof that maybe, just maybe, kids need a little bit of protection. So the next time someone says, parents today are too protective, remind them that yesterday's parents would literally be in prison. Every single one. Now I need to know, which one of these would have gotten your parents the most jail time? Because I calculated it, and mine would be doing consecutive life sentences just for the summer of '87 alone. Drop a comment with your parents' biggest crime, the one that makes you go, how the hell am I still alive? And if you survived this entire video, you're probably having flashbacks. Share this with someone else who grew up in the survival of the fittest generation. Misery loves company and trauma bonds are forever. Like this video if your parents definitely would have been arrested. Subscribe if you're amazed you survived your childhood. And hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video, 30 foods from the '80s that were literally poison but we loved them anyway. Because if we're going to have PTSD from our childhoods, we might as well laugh about it together. We survived the unsurvivable. We're the generation that lived through the complete and total absence of child safety. We're not okay, but we're here. And honestly, that's a miracle. Subscribe button,